I've made over $1 million investing in crypto using data-backed research insights, and today I'm going to walk you through the framework that I've used over the last 9 years so you can stop gambling, stop trading your way to try and make it in crypto, quitting your 9 to 5, and actually having a proper wealth framework to stop thinking about speculation and actually create a blueprint to success. But if you skip this video, ultimately you're going to continue just to gamble, following these idiots online that are pushing out all sorts of ridiculous content from influencers, and you're not going to be able to actually build your wealth through in this bull market, because we're in that time right now and I genuinely want to help you guys. Now, if you don't believe me, here's a little screenshot. Wasn't even a screenshot. This is literally like the live feed of my bank account. $1 million just in my bank account alone, just to show you guys that I'm not just some bro in his bedroom sharing you tips to try and flog off his shitty trading course at the end of it. Genuinely, I want to try and help you guys today with my 7-step framework. So let's jump into what that is, how that actually works, and how you can stop thinking about crypto as just a gambling speculation play. Now, everyone wants to build a multi-million-dollar portfolio, but so many people think about it the wrong way. So many people come into crypto, they start listening to influencers, they have a mate that's starting to throw off different tokens. Maybe you bought some a little while ago, maybe you just dumped a bunch of money in the market and you're following influencers, you're following Twitter people, maybe you've round tripped, maybe you don't have an exit strategy, and you're literally just playing with this like a hobby and you have no idea what you're doing. Would you build a house without a plan? Would you drive a car without a destination? Would you build a business without a strategy? I tell you what, I've been in this business now for 5 years building Collective Shift, and if I didn't have a plan, if I didn't have a strategy, then we wouldn't be going anywhere. You'd be going around and around in circles. The same goes with your crypto investments. You need to have a proper plan and blueprint to then reverse engineer and create that process. Now, these are the 7 steps really briefly that I want to walk you through to make sure you're covering off, and we're going to go through each step in this video today. So the 7 steps are having that macro view of the market, narrative mapping and understanding which sectors to be in and also which ones to not be in, asset screening via the shift list, actually looking at the analysis and the token ratings, which I'll share with you today, the on-chain metrics, not just looking at fancy like trading charts and influencers, draw some squiggly lines and tell you where the market's going. That does not give you undervalued assets. I have been in game-changing wealth creation assets because of getting in on-chain metrics and looking at the fundamental data early, and today I'm going to share with you some of that. Timing and entry is so important. So many people buy at the top, they panic at the bottom. I'm going to share all of that. Portfolio construction, what percentages to actually hold in your portfolio, and also how to review and trim and update as time goes on. That's super important because so many people don't even optimize. They continue to hold assets that have held for a long time, hoping it'll come back. But folks, hope is not a strategy. I'm going to talk you through that today as well. Now let's talk about the importance of having an altcoin watch list. How many of you have tracked an altcoin before, didn't buy, and it rallied and you start to think, shit, what did I do? Why did I buy into it? Or maybe, you forgot about a coin that someone bought, or maybe you bought into the wrong coins and then you didn't buy into the other ones. You're wondering, what am I doing? Why didn't I buy those coins? It is a never-ending game. Crypto has this sickening way of never really allowing you to win. So the shift list is really, really important to help you break through that. And because ultimately, without the data, we actually see 80-90% of retail investors lose because they buy and sell at the wrong time and they follow the same people as everyone else. Crypto markets have winners and losers. This is not some AI game, guys. When you buy a token, someone is selling you that. When I sell a token, someone is buying it. There's winners and losers in crypto, and you need to understand what your edge is. If you're just sitting at home, you've got a busy family, you're running around with your business or your career, and you're just trying to fly off and listen to some guy online, what do you think everyone else is doing? Do you think everyone else is just following the same shitty advice that you are from people online? 100% they are. This is why 10% of the market makes money, because they're actually counter trading the retail investors. You are the exit liquidity. You are losing, and the 10%, the whales, the smart people, me included, are winning because you're following the same crappy influence as everyone else. So I want you to understand that you need an edge in markets. And hopefully this video is going to help you give that edge, all right? So let's get into the shift list. What actually is the shift list? Now, having a watch list is like the automated way of tracking which tokens are going to look to either win or lose you over time, all right? This is giving you the bullish and bearish indicators to give you the advantage to get in at the right time. Before I had the shift list, I made my biggest investing mistake on altcoins. It was actually on synthetics. Synthetics, before it was called Synthetics, was called Haven. This was back in 2018, 2019. It was building a synthetic derivatives platform, an epic platform, a great altcoin that I bought in, held it for about a year, but I didn't end up holding it. I actually sold all of it, literally days, but maybe weeks before it went on the most obscene growth run of an altcoin back in the 2018 to 2020 bull market. It literally did probably 30, 40, 50, 60x. And I sold out my entire position before it did that. The biggest mistake I made there was I wasn't watching the token. I didn't understand that it had one of the biggest upgrades it had on the protocol coming up literally in the coming weeks. I held it for a year, got impatient. I thought the investment thesis was right, but I didn't have the patience and I wasn't tracking what the project was doing, so I sold it and then it pumped. And that is the precedent of most investors, when I first started out as well, that don't have a proper eye on the market or don't have time to monitor what their altcoins are doing. You need that data because could be the make or break. I would have been retired at like 23. It's sickening to even think back how much money I lost out. So that's where the shift list comes in, and this is how I look to leverage it. So let's look at Sui, for example. Sui was one of my trades that I made earlier in the year. Got in just before $2, about $1.90. And here in the shift list, we can start to understand and look at the analysis that the team have done here at Collective Shift. So this is our analysis team. So really the best thing about Sui is it has that real big narrative, right? The narrative of the layer one play and the gaming sector. The best thing about Sui that I really like is the UI, and it literally allows you to sign up to their their digital wallet using your Google account, right? The UI is really, really cool. The other thing that I really like is the ecosystem and how much growth it's had inside the protocol over the last couple of years. Raoul Pal from Real Vision is a big believer in it. They're actually building Real Vision on Sui. They're building the token on there, and it's got so much growth from a TVL and investment perspective. It's really been a big competitor against Solana and Ethereum in that layer one space, which has been a big sector that we've been super bullish on. Now, you can also see from a token perspective, the token utility is super interesting as well. One of the best things here is around the fair compensation from the validators and the distributing of the staking rewards. It's also got a supply capped at 10 billion, which is really good, really distinguishing it against Ethereum, Solana, and a lot of other altcoins that have huge inflation rates. Something like XRP, for example, has massive inflation rates. They print new supply each and every month. Sui does not do that. It has a capped supply. It's why Bitcoin's so good, right? Because it has its capped supply. So that is really, really exciting because essentially other tokens have infinite inflation rates, meaning you need to continue. It's like fiat currency. Essentially, you need to build more and more and more capital to grow that token because of how many new tokens are coming into supply. So that's really, really big. And also the community is massive as well. So look, I think that the tech side of things, Sui is really innovative. The global adoption, the development, also the features that it's got from a user experience standpoint is super interesting. That's why Sui has been a big winner for us. And I shared this back, I think it was about $2 when I invested in Sui. And, one of the best things that from a timing perspective, and this comes back to the timing and entries that I spoke about, is that being able to time before big fundamental things happen and also before the market moves based on where we are in the macro conditions. So this was actually back in March, just as the market was, coming, was on a downwards trajectory because of Trump and the tariffs and things like that. And this was really around that U-shaped recovery that was happening. The market was down 60, 70%. We got into some really good positions really cheap because we could actually forecast and see what was coming up. And that was one of the best things that got us really, undervalued assets like Sui, for example, under that $2 mark. And now it's, about $4 at this time. So that's really cool. Now, the other ones on my shift list or my watch list at the moment, Hype is a big one. Hype is been a new layer one protocol. It's another derivatives platform, but also has some DeFi integrated in it. Hype is another asset that I have exposure to. Really like Hype from its tokenomics, right? Hype has some really great buybacks and strong tokenomics with token buybacks, and it has a really strong product market fit with forced programmatic buybacks based on the token as it generates new fees, which is really, really cool. So it's called the revenue is allocated to the assistance fund that automatically buys Hype off the open market. So it has an automatic buying system that comes into Hype, which is really, really cool. So that's really strong. I love fundamental quality projects. That is something that has always made me a lot of money in crypto, whether it be Syrup, whether I made back in the metaverse when I made life-changing amounts of money back then, got in before 20, 30, 40x returns because of fundamental side of assets. This is what trading does not get you. It's why so many YouTubers will come up and draw these fancy squiggly lines telling you when the market's going to go up and down. That doesn't give you access to good investments looking at their fundamentals. Fundamental analysis is the most valuable thing in my opinion and what we are known for, and it's why we made so much money and all of our clients so much money because of that fundamental side. You can find projects before they pump based on what they're building. It's like investing into a startup before it's grown. Do you think you could do technical analysis on a small startup, as they're raising money with a 50 mil market cap project? Of course not, right? Technical analysis is just, it's a waste of time in my opinion when you're looking at early stage investments. Yes, it can give you a good indication of where the market's going and also when the macro market is looking to top or bottom, but it's not going to give you assets that are going to do 20x, right? It's not a thing. And the reason most influencers don't talk about this is because they have no idea what any of this stuff is. It's pretty funny. Because influencers are entertainers. They're great at creating content, great at getting you to watch their videos, which is entertaining. But terrible at actually helping you make money. Oh, sorry, I laugh. I used to work for a YouTube influencer, and it's funny to see the YouTube influencers put out content because it's funny, it's great. It's great to watch, but you're not going to make any money. So hype is one. Again, from a summary perspective, these guys have, really trying to build a transparent, low latency, audible exchange essentially. And there's a reason why Hyperliquid actually isn't available on most of the large exchanges, is because they're a massive competitor to Binance and Coinbase and things like that. So that is a big one there. Last one, as I just mentioned, Syrup. Syrup I recently took profits on. I actually shared this at 5 cents. When Syrup was first coming out. They just recently crossed 3 billion in TVL. It's a DeFi project. I think DeFi is a big underdog of this cycle. And, the price performance has been unbelievable. Like, I was buying this sub 50 mil market cap for a long, long time. I've been very public. I don't put out a lot of altcoin, insights online for free. I've been huge on Syrup. I put this out on Instagram for free, Twitter for free. I really, really promoted this as an investment that I thought it was going to do really well. And it has. It's grown massively. The chart is unbelievable. I was really buying and accumulating a lot down here in this territory here in that 5 cent range. It's now hit 50 cents and done extremely, extremely well. So well done to everyone that jumped in on that. But again, why are they here? Why is this token here? Because fundamentally it's super strong. The tokenomics here around the way it generates debt from the marketplace, it brings in and raises capital, and then the revenue that it generates from those investments gives back to the token holders. Beautiful. And it's one of the very few projects that actually made it through the DeFi bear market of 2021 when, Luna was blowing up, FTX was blowing up, everything was blowing up around it, and Syrup just made its way through. They held this thing down 80%. I had massive conviction in this. And it's a fine line between having huge conviction and being wrong and being an idiot, and actually having conviction and doubling down and watching it come back. And that, folks, that comes back from understanding the fundamentals, understanding the community strength, understanding the activity of the platform, understanding the on-chain activity, the narrative fit, everything you need is why this is successful. Did I mention technical analysis in any of that? Absolutely not. All right. I made life-changing amounts of money from not trading, not doing technical analysis, and actually looking and investing from a fundamental perspective. That is my edge. And that is what the shift list gives, our team and all of our clients, which is why so many people are successful. So this really keeps you ahead of the market, the shift list. It keeps you understanding and having confidence and understanding where the narrative fits are, and not just backing something because, it sounds good, but actually understanding the investment insights behind it and understanding where the metrics are lining up to go to the right direction. And that is why the shift list is so important. So on top of that, if you're looking to really save time and learn real strategies, you can work with me one-on-one in our platinum program. It's going to save you hours and hours and hours of time. It's going to fast track so many of you that are looking to really not round trip this cycle, invest a large amount of capital, and not just chase the gains, really build your wealth and freedom. You need to have at least a net worth of over $250,000. You need to be investing at least $100,000 in crypto. You can book a call below and see if it's a good fit. You do need to apply. We only work with so many people, but there's so many amazing stories here from Liz, who literally, she's not a crypto person. She's her and her husband invested, took some Bitcoin profits, traveled to Europe. Ron doubled his portfolio. Brady, a dad, talks about, team that he can talk to 24/7 in our WhatsApp community. Indigo doubled her portfolio. Look, there's so many success stories, you can check it out. But these are from proven strategies that actually work, folks. We're actually genuinely helping people, which is really cool. Now, let me show you how I actually get my edge that's not on Twitter, that's not on YouTube. It genuinely helps you build a multi-million-dollar portfolio without following, again, these influencers and people online and listening to your mate and just holding these tokens and not know what you're doing, right? The reason why so many fail to build a long-term proper portfolio is because everyone just acts on emotion and hype. We can see this on-chain, right? And we can see this with our on-chain data. On-chain data is such a beautiful thing, right? On-chain data, if you're new to crypto, literally allows us to see who's buying and selling on the blockchain, right? You can't go and see in the stock market or a bank who's buying and who's selling, right? Checkmate is our lead on-chain analyst, and literally over the last few days, we saw billions and billions of dollars absorbed from sell pressure as the market was selling off. There was one ancient Bitcoin address that was selling 80,000 Bitcoin, right, in a literal like few day period, which was insane. Now, if we saw a $80,000 sell transaction a number of years ago, this would be a 30 or 40% dip. But this is where we can really start to see where the market is buying and who is buying and who is selling, right? And this just gives us such good insights as to what's going on. Now, the realized profit and loss here on chain, we can literally see the peak of these buying and selling and the realized profit taking place. So as the market's moving up, you can see these push here of Bitcoin as the price goes higher. The green chart here is the realized profit, people literally taking profit. And you can start to see here, as the market moves up, we start to see older wallets taking profit. Now, this is what gives us the edge because we can actually understand who's selling, all right? And this is what gives us the deep dive into what happens on chain. So when there's big movements in the market, rather than acting emotionally and going, oh, why is the price going down? We go in on chain and we can start to look and see where these drawdowns are and why it's happening. And literally these drawdowns in this period, in this bull market, is so small in contrast to previous cycles. So once we look at that, we can start to see it, who's actually buying, who's selling these short-term periods, and we know that modest profit taking happens, and now we're in that cooling off period, which is really cool. The next thing as well is I always look and check over in TradingView. This is really where I'm looking for breakouts. I'm looking for patterns. One of the big patterns that's happening at the moment is the ETH BTC chart. We've been in a 4-year downtrend against ETH for basically just capitulating altcoins for a long period of time. And we're starting to see that breakout. When we see an ETH BTC breakout, this is where we can start to see altcoins really moving. This is why Syrup's doing well. This is why Sui's doing well. This is why altcoins are doing well, is because we're starting to see that ETH BTC breakout. Now, if we look at where this has been in the past, we've essentially been on this multi-year. If we look at from the peak, we've basically been on from the bottom, 80% drawdown of Bitcoin outperforming ETH by 80% for literally 4 years, all right? And now we're starting to see that move upwards. So we're up about 80% from the lows, but if we look at where we were back in 2021, when we had that magnificent altcoin run of 2021, we went on a 285% increase, basically a 3x. And at the moment, we're at about just less than a 1x. So in terms of previous cycles, and also we weren't down that far. So I believe we've still got at least a 2-3x left in altcoins this cycle before we start to take profits, which is really cool. The other one, again, just that on-chain that I mentioned and from our platform, is also just looking at, when there's token unlocks, when there's actually these Solana, for example, and XRP produce so many new tokens, when those unlocks come out, it's really important to understand that, because that's what builds sell pressure into the market. It's something we look at very often. Now, next I want to talk you through my 10x I made on Syrup and why Syrup was such a good investment and how I made so much money there. So let's bring this up. Why Syrup was a 10x opportunity. And the tools that I shared are powerful, but they're not everything. The key things you need to really do to break down is understanding the key points on understanding why an investment is good, but also when these assets are down 80%, you really need to have conviction, all right? So the first thing is perfect timing. Syrup really broke through the credit collapse of Celsius, BlockFi. Maple survived and it expanded during this point. It continued to double down and the products it developed was really, really amazing. The narrative was really big, all right? Syrup stood out because of the narrative, and this was something that came out on the shift list. We looked at it from a sector perspective. We're looking at the on-chain activity, the growth, and this is why I bought in and doubled down at that 5 cent range, is because the early bet on institutional DeFi, the entire industry gave up on DeFi. No one was talking about it, right? No one was thinking about it, and that's where I really saw that trend and that narrative. If it was to break through and DeFi was to come back, I thought it was going to do well, and it did. It had real fundamentals. It was genuinely creating proper revenue, generating strong token value. My goodness, imagine that, a crypto project actually creating value for the world. Wow, imagine it. And that is what Syrup has done. It's a genuinely quality project that has done really great things for its token holders, and it's growing its revenue, right? And that's really exciting, and it's actually delivering value to people that use it, okay? The next one is just that major macro tailwind. We had Trump and the election, and he started to go pro-crypto. DeFi had huge regulatory issues last administration. Trump basically removed all that. And then I doubled down and had high conviction. And this was the real process that played out. And that's the real difference between just hype investing and guessing and having actual conviction. Because when you have conviction, you know the narrative and you can back yourself based on the fundamentals. That's what gets you in early before just chasing the hype from influencers. And guess what? By the time it comes out on influencers, but by the time it comes out on YouTube, by the time it comes out on Twitter, you are too late. No one was talking about Syrup 2 years ago. Nobody. What happened recently? People started tweeting about it. It's caught up to BlackRock. Anthony Pompliano started tweeting about it. That is the time for me to start taking profits. I started taking profits when that happened, all right? After it 10x. By the time you've heard about it, you are too late. That is why you need to get in early and get these insights that come through the shift list, because that is what's going to give you the most returns. So those are all the systems and insights that I put in place to help me scale my portfolio. The sectors that I really want you guys to be aware of is what we're really bullish on for the upcoming, cycle in this bull market. These are the areas I'm really interested in. Number one is the layer ones, right? If we have a look at the layer ones, this is where we're really this is the backbone that's happening, right? This is where VCs allocate. This is where a lot of the capital continues to flow into, which is the layer one sector. Think about the layer ones as like the app store, right? The app store being the road that the apps get built on, right? And that's where the VCs are investing. But note, there's a lot of projects in this space, right? You've got Solana, Ethereum, Tron, Cardano, Sui, Stellar, Hedera, Toncoin. There's literally so many layer ones. They are not all going to survive. So you need to make sure you've got good exposure to the good assets, and making sure that you also understand they're competing against each other. A lot of these older chains like Polkadot and Cardano, and they're all competing against one another. Okay, so you need to make sure you're in the right sectors. Meme coins, the gateway drug for retail. I think meme coins are going to do really well. I'm exposed to a MemeFi project that recently also did me a 10x because I see the DeFi overlaid on the meme coins. When retail arrive, I think meme coins are going to do really well. Make sure you're backing good quality memes that are on the right chains. Ethereum is big for me. Solana is going to do well as well. You've also got AI tokens. You've got things like SPX. You've got AR16Z. I think AI is going to do really well, again, when a retail market arrives. DeFi 2.0, again, super pumped about DeFi. I think DeFi is underrated. It's going to be that sort of like underlying real fundamental value of a sector that's going to continue to grind high and do well this cycle regardless of the market. And that's why Syrup's done so well even before retail. And then you got underrated gems. You've got different sectors, RWAs, and you've got SocialFi, DPIN, etc. I don't have exposure to those, but they're the sort of main sectors that we're looking at. So there you have it. There's my full $1 million crypto portfolio strategy laid out so you can take it away and apply it for your own self. The frameworks that I just shared with you allowed me to make millions of dollars in crypto, and also allowed me to work with over 180 high net worth clients that I've worked with now in our platinum program, currently 180 right now, to help them take their hundreds of thousands of dollar portfolio into the millions and help them really make sure they have the right exit strategy and the support that I work with them one-on-one. So if you are interested in working with us and taking out the guessing work, taking out the time and get fast tracked, make sure you book a call below, see if it's a good fit and you can apply to join our program. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.